computer, not the cloud. Should be recording, and let's hear that intro.
Film for your entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week, we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we're straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a name and DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name of so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roll some Marlowe and 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to a very futuristic episode of Straight Chilling. The future is now, 2020, baby.
You used that one last time, Bob. You need some fresh material.
Okay. Welcome to a screamful episode of Straight Chilling. No, it's too early. My brain's not working. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 249, recorded Sunday, January 12th, 2020. Tonight we're talking about Scream! It's going to be a screaming scream. Holla at me. Holla at your boy. First up on the show, calling in from Southern Korea once again, we got our boy Soju. What's up?
What up? It's your boy, Salty Stains.
Oh, because this is the poll pick winner?
You know why, Bob. Even after my hot dominance of the poll picks in 2019, I'm still... if I could trade any of them for this one, I swear to God. So close. I saw there was a comeback coming back. A lot of people changed their votes from... I
think like one person did. I don't know about a lot.
It was coming
Justin
back.
wanted The Exorcist to win because when we talked about it, he wasn't there and he's been salty ever since. He holds a grudge.
I wasn't there.
years.
I wasn't there.
You weren't.
Was
You
Randy
weren't
there, Bob?
I don't recall.
He was.
Nobody keeps score like you. Randy is not here this evening, though. He's still driving across country because that man never stays in one place for more than like 2 seconds.
I know he better watch
however,
out, as soon as we find another grade A graphic design artist who will work for free and will be our friend for 10 plus years, he's out of here, man.
That's right. He's easily replaceable. But we do have with us, once again, returning to the show, Danielle. What's up, Danielle?
Hello. I'm here to fuck shit up again. Just like last time.
Metaphorically? Or like you're going to be throwing shit around your room? Or what's going on?
Oh, I'm even earlier here than you, so I don't have the strength to throw shit around.
Gotta get a little bit of coffee in you. You'll be ready to go. Fuck some shit up.
I know.
Danielle,
it's actually nighttime for me, and I actually get to drink the soju. Whoa.
Getting twisted.
It's actually an appropriate time for me to drink.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too.
I'm a little excited, cautiously optimistic about getting off the rails here.
Okay.
Danielle, you want to remind people where they can check you and Anthony out with Ghoulish Cast and all that?
Yeah, so Anthony and I do Ghoulish Cast. You can check us out on pretty much any podcast format. We interview people in the horror community. And we just got a new website. It's somethingghoulish.com. So you can find all of our podcasts there. We do think pieces on the horror community. Videos from our YouTube are all there. So if you just go to somethingghoulish.com, you can find everything we do there. And it's a fun little time. It's a fun, spooky time.
It is. Spooktacular.
Yes.
Check their shit out. It's dope. It's worth your time for sure. It's worth the look.
It is dope. I'm not a liar at 9 a.m. So it's dope.
You don't have the capacity to lie to us.
No.
When 10 a.m. rolls around, though, it's anything goes.
Watch out. Yeah.
Anything goes. Well, let's go ahead and jump into some housekeeping real quick. We've got our February poll pick posted on the Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get a chance to vote on a movie we're talking about for February. The theme for February, we're talking about French horror films. The three up there to vote on are High Tension, Eyes Without a Face, and Raw.
How those
Hashtag
numbers looking, Bob?
Smash Raw. High Tension's winning. Eyes Without a Face and Raw are falling pretty far behind so far. But there's still a lot of votes to be casted.
Yeah, I know. It's still early. Uh-oh, Danielle. Which one are you going to vote for?
High Tension, easily.
Oh, I have actually. I kind of hope that wins because I've actually never seen it. And I just need an excuse to watch it, apparently.
It's free on Vudu if you want to watch it.
Okay.
I think. I might be a liar.
I'll find it. I've got my ways. I'm swimming in the dark web trying to find these movies sometimes over here in Southern Korea.
It's true.
But to be honest, I haven't seen the other. What was the other one in between Raw?
Eyes Without a Face. I've never seen that either. It's an old one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So.
Wonder who picked that one.
I just don't
Art House
know.
Randy.
Art House Randy. Also Red Stag Randy. He's got a lot going on. Justin, what do we have going on with YouTube, Twitch, Bracket of Blood? Anything going on?
Oh my lord, we've got a full house to clean, Bob. Let's talk Bracket of Blood. That's our Bracket of Blood. We just wrapped up our first week of round 2. That was the Killers and Monsters divisions. The winners from round 1 moving going into their head-to-heads. The winners for the first week of round 1: Get Out, The Invitation, Midsummer, You're Next, It Follows, Krampus, Train to Busan, and It. That's It Part 1, not Part Deuce. This upcoming week on Monday, the 13th, we are going to start our round 2, week 2, which is going to be the Haunters and Macabre division. And that's going to go until Friday, the 17th. You'll have a chance to vote on our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. Some of the matchups you'll see in there, we've got like Suspiria versus Insidious and the Haunters, Evil Dead remake versus The Beach, and in the Macabre round, let's see, they've got like Mandy versus Mother, and Hereditary versus The Lighthouse. That's another head-to-head.
That's a good one.
That's going to be probably the toughest one. And essentially, that's going to be, we only have 2 weeks of round 2. And then after that, we're at the final 16.
Damn.
4 from each division. So it's essentially going to be 1 week of round 3 to bring us to the final 8. And then round 4 is going to take us into the final 4. And then that's it. So we're going to have, 1 movie from each division going into the final 4. It's weird because we just did our, top 10 of the decade not too long ago, and we're like almost there in like this bracket, and it's like interesting to see what movies have kind of popped up here at the end. So, oof, man.
Yeah, which ones have blasted? Yeah, from here on out, it's just all bangers. They're all good. So.
Pretty much, yeah.
Gonna get difficult. Cool, man. That all you got?
Actually, no, a couple things. So that's our Bracket of Blood. Please participate if you want to help us decide what is the greatest horror of the past decade. We are in a new decade now. It's a new year, new decade, Straight Chilling Squad. We're doing some new shit. We're always doing some new shit. Bob, you dropped your first episode of Let's Get Physical Media. You have a new episode of that coming up, this week?
Yeah, so we're dropping our second episode on Tuesday. We're going to be releasing episodes on Tuesday. Not every Tuesday, but on Tuesdays. We got an interview coming up. We talked to a fellow by the name of Michael Felsher. If you purchase any of these collector's edition Blu-rays that we talk about on the show regularly from like Scream Factory, Arrow, Blue Underground, Vinegar Syndrome, any of those guys, Michael Felsher owns Red Shirt Pictures, and he produces a lot of the bonus content that you find on those discs, the interviews and whatnot. He's made a bunch of feature-length documentaries, including the Just Desserts, the Making of Creep Show. He's made documentaries on like the making of Halloween 2. and just a bunch of other stuff. He worked with Romero a lot. He was like close personal friends with George Romero. So we talked to him about all that, and he shared a lot of like really interesting personal stories and accounts with like Tom Savini and all kinds of stuff. So check that out. It's dropping on our Let's Get Physical Media feed. It's on iTunes. We're also now up on Spotify, and we're on Stitcher as well. We should be on Google Play. At this point, we should be pretty much anywhere you're trying to listen to podcasts. We're also up on Twitter and Instagram. Our Twitter handle is physical_media_, and we're on Instagram at Let's Get Physical Media Podcast. So you can hit us up across the board. Keep for that interview dropping on Tuesday.
Nice. So that's some new
when
content.
You guys added me. When you guys followed me on Twitter,
we got a sister show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you guys followed me on Twitter, I was like, oh, cool. Like, what a cool little thing. And then I saw that it was yours, and I was like, oh, shit, cool.
Yeah, so that's some new content from the Straight Chillin' Squad. And also a new thing we're trying out. So through our voicemail segment last year, we started to get like a lot of questions, things like, what are your favorite movies, or what are your favorite movies of the year, stuff like that. So a new segment we're going to be trying out, Top 5 Tuesdays. So I dropped our first Top 5 Tuesday video. Essentially the first Tuesday of every month, we're going to try and drop an exclusive YouTube video that's going to cover some top 5. So the first one that's up on our YouTube now is top 5 most anticipated horror films of this upcoming year, 2020. But that is something a new segment we're going to be doing for our YouTube channel every month, top of the month, on the first Tuesday of every month. So if you have any things you're curious about, like I don't know, like top 5 slashers or underrated slashers, or I don't know, anything you're curious about and something you want us to make a video about, definitely drop us a comment on our YouTube. I've already got a couple that we're working on for the upcoming months, but that is a new segment, Top 5 Tuesdays. You can check that out at Straight Chilling Podcasts, youtube.com/Straight Chilling Podcast. That's our YouTube channel. And also had to take a couple months off due to technical issues, but we're coming back on the Twitch channel. So we had some like audio issues with like audio lag and like party chat problems when we were trying to play like Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. So we're trying to bring back the horror video games on our Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Straight Chilling Podcast. This month, I'm going to be playing Alien Isolation, and I think I've got all the technical difficulties worked out. So if you want to subscribe, and it will notify you when I'm going live. Since it is a longer game, I am going to be playing like more than once a week to kind of get that filled out. So I'm very excited. So yeah, if you're into horror video games and you would like to watch or participate in the chat, definitely subscribe to us there. And I'm
very excited about that.
Oh yeah, have you played Alien Isolation?
Yeah, I streamed it on Twitch, and it's actually a really easy game to stream. So yeah. I mean, it has the graphics are really nice, but the UI and stuff is easy to switch to. It doesn't lag or anything. So I think you should have an easy time streaming it, and it's fucking scary. So
good. I'm excited.
It's fun.
I think the premise is it's supposed to be like a sequel to the original Alien movie. Is that right?
Yeah. Did you get it on Steam?
I have it on like the Game Pass, the Xbox. I'm streaming from Xbox, and that's why I was having so much like issues. But I think I got it all worked out now. So yeah, if you're into horror video games, check us out there as well. Danielle, she streams as well. What's your handle on Twitch?
So I actually took my Twitch out of the Something Ghoulish umbrella just because I don't have a set schedule and I wanted to do kind of my own thing.
Yeah.
So my handle changed, and it's like kind of, I don't know if I want to do it under my personal Twitch which
Okay.
is Midnight Society _. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm doing it there or another one. So I'm not sure
Okay.
yet. But if you follow me on Twitter, I guess you'll see it, which is
Yeah,
the
there
Ghoulish
you
Girl.
go.
So
Good. We got all kind of horror video
Nice.
games up in
all
this bitch.
kind of.
We're doing a lot of shit.
Yeah.
A lot.
We got a lot. We're covering all avenues of horror.
Yeah.
Don't tell us we can't.
Right. Let's jump into what we've been watching this week.
What? Did it do it?
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
No. There it is.
There it is. Randy, come back, please. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Justin, kick us off. What you been watching?
Oh my god, I feel like I've been watching so much. We haven't actually cast since it's been I don't know, a couple weeks since before Christmas. So
Yeah.
I feel like I've been watching a whole lot of stuff. I watched that new it's on Netflix, that Dracula series. That it's like Netflix, like BBC, I don't know, collab or something. I don't really know the deets of it, but I watched it. And it was good, especially it's a 3-parter, and essentially they're all about each episode is an hour and a half long. So it's essentially just this Dracula trilogy is what you're getting. Because they're 90 minutes a piece, and the production value is really quality on it. The acting is good. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. You may be getting a little mini episode covering this Dracula. It was as far as horror goes, it's got some pretty cool moments, man. So I enjoyed watching that. I also watched The Witcher series that was on Netflix. And a little bit horror adjacent. There are some monster elements in it. It's mostly fantasy, and it's based off of a video game, but there definitely are some horror adjacent moments in this series. Considered maybe doing a mini episode on that one. I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in. If you have watched the Witcher series, I don't know. Let us know if you want us to do a mini episode on that one. I have finished it. It was solid. I enjoyed it as well. Bob, you tried to watch it. Couldn't quite get into it, huh?
Couldn't finish the first episode.
Bob
it was not for me.
It was not for Bob. It is more of a fantasy, and I actually haven't played the game. It's made me tempted to play the game. I've seen so many top decade game lists that have it a lot of them at number 1 or definitely top 5. So I'm damn, I didn't know The Witcher was that good. So I am tempted to play it, but I heard it will pretty much suck all the time out of your life. So that is the biggest.
It will.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We're busy over here, straight chilling. I got to get you guys some new content. I can't be playing The Witcher all day. But I watched that. There's a new season of Rick and Morty up. I've been watching some of that. I watched a new Star Wars movie finally because it actually just came out this week in Korea, Wednesday it came out. So I went to go see that one. It was okay at best, I guess.
Chrissy Orlando.
Chrissy Orlando.
It was fine.
Yeah, there were some fine moments. I'm not a hardcore Star Wars guy. I enjoy it enough, and there are some elements from this new trilogy that I liked. I fucking Rogue One of these new movies is the best to me. I thought that movie was dope as shit. But this new trilogy, I'm I'm been Chrissy Orlando status all over it anyway. So when it ended, I was that's fine. Let's be done with it. I saw that. I think, man, I feel I've been watching a ton of shit. So I feel that's good enough. Yeah, 2 full series, couple movies. So yeah.
You done been watching?
Yeah, I've been watching.
What about you, Danielle? What you been watching?
It's weird because it's all the same thing as Soju.
Nice.
They've been watching The Witcher. I started Dracula, and I've only finished 1 episode because people just could not stop coming over to my house when I was trying to watch it.
Yeah.
But it was really, the first episode's really good. I didn't know it was like a 3-part thing. Like, I didn't know anything about it, but I really like the makeup of the Dracula and the vampire. It's spooky. And when they like turn into like the like craving blood Dracula, their teeth like change. That's like my favorite part of that. But I like it. The Witcher, I never played Witcher 3 or any of the Witcher games, but I am now because I watched the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's where
I started
I'm
that.
like, damn.
Yeah. Started it, and it's as good as people say already. But I thought the Witcher TV series was better than I thought it would be, because when they try to do video game, I guess it's from books, but when they try to do video game TV shows or movies, it's always kind of like, ugh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. It's kind of cheesy at some moments. I'm like, well, that could have been left out, but I mean, I thought the same thing about Game of Thrones, and I loved that show.
Yeah.
And then I finished season 2 of You. I freaking love that show. It's maybe cheesy to people and weird, but love it.
It's like about a stalker, right?
Yeah.
It is.
He likes,
yeah.
he like stalked this girl in the first season, and then they started dating because he like found out all the stuff she likes, and then he goes crazy because she's like being a normal girlfriend and hanging out with her friends. He thinks she's ignoring him and stuff. I don't know. But
yeah, it's weird because it's like played from a sympathetic view, right? Where you're like supposed to sympathize with the stalker.
It is. He like narrates the whole time, and so he'll be like, I had to kill that guy for us because you're not paying attention to us, and like blah blah. And for a second, you're like, well, I mean, it's kind of true, and then you're like, wait a second, am I a fucking psychopath?
It's kind of like a Dexter type situation where like you follow it, but it's like he's a psycho serial killer.
Yeah, dude, the second season is pure Dexter. I'm like, well, this is kind of Dexter, like to a T.
Okay.
Like in the second season, he kills someone and he has like an actual apron on, and I'm like, dude, come on, this is like Dexter. But saw Star Wars. I don't like follow Star Wars that hard. My husband does, so we saw it, and I thought it was good as a movie, but I don't know if it's good as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Don't know. And then the last thing is my sister and I went and saw The Grudge. Yowza.
Yeah.
That's a good yowza, right?
I mean, I didn't like I didn't like the first remake of that movie anyways. Like I didn't understand. I guess since it came out the same time as The Ring, I'm like, well, The Ring is obviously superior to The Grudge. To me. And so The Grudge never really was on my like, oh, I have to go back and watch that movie again type movie list. But my sister, she's 12 years younger than me, and The Grudge was like really big for her. Like she watched it all the time and she thought it was scary. So she was very excited to see it. And at the end, she's like, God damn it, dude.
Welcome to adulthood, bitch.
Yeah. I'm like,
as you swirl your soju around.
Welcome.
It's all shit.
18.
This is life.
Smoke a cigarette about it.
Oh, man.
You're going to get let down.
Yeah, but I mean, there wasn't very many people in the theater, like maybe one person by himself in like the third row and then a couple. And so it was kind of like a good theater experience because we just got to chill and like kind of, it felt like we were just watching this movie by ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, nah, it wasn't good. But we still got to just chill and like watch a movie. So I was like, eh. And I have AMC stubs, so I'm like, free movie, down the drain.
There you go.
Yeah, at least it was free.
Yeah. At least
it was
you got
good
that.
for free.
Yeah. Cool. I've been checking out some Cronenberg films, some latter-day Cronenberg films. Eastern Promises from 2007 This is sort of like, I guess, after he did a lot of his body horror stuff. So Eastern Promise is like it's like a Russian mob movie, really is what it is. Takes place in the UK. It's got Naomi Watts and Viggo Mortensen in it. And it's really just about like this old mob boss who is trying to like cover up some of his indiscretions by way of, murdering people. So we got that going on, and it's like action heavy. I mean, if you like mob movies, you'll probably get a kick out of it. But it's interesting to see Cronenberg do something that's like a little more, I guess, like based in drama as opposed to just like straight horror. Like if you're used to seeing Rabid or something like that, you probably wouldn't expect this from him. But it's a really, really solid movie. And if you're into watching some Viggo Mortensen peen fly around the screen for a while, you'll get ample amounts of that.
Boy.
Count me in.
There's like this brawl in like a shower, I guess it's like a big sauna that he's in. He's just like taking a steam and people jumping while he's in there. And there's like this full-on 5-minute fight scene where he's just completely naked.
God, jump a man while his dong is swinging.
I know, it's low.
What's this world
These
coming
mobsters.
to?
Dude, I don't even like walking like by a door frame while I'm naked. Could snag something,
Let alone fighting a man for your life.
Oh God, I got hung up on the door. I also watched A History of Violence, which is another Cronenberg joint from 2005. Again with Mortensen, less peen in this one. So
Next. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Yeah, I know.
Minus half a star.
It's a solid movie. It's kind of another mob movie, actually. It's about this guy who may or may not have been a mobster at one point in his life, and may or may not be in the witness protection program. So it's kind of a question as to what's going down in this quiet little town with Viggo Mortensen, who he like owns a diner. And these bad people come in one day and they try to rob him. They try to like kill this lady that works for him, and he stops them. Turns out he's a badass. You're like, maybe there's more going on with this guy than I think. So I don't know. It's a good action movie again. A little bit of gore, but definitely not like body horror stuff again. It's a couple solid latter-day Cronenberg movies. I recommend checking them out.
Cronenberg grew up.
He did. He absolutely did. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Let's go ahead and get in the main event. We're talking about Scream. Let's start off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
Nope. I don't know how. I don't even know how.
Oh, shit. The bumps are just going haywire.
This is life.
Smoke a cigarette about it.
Prepare to be disappointed.
Scream, 1996, directed by Wes Craven, stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, and like a million other people.
Is that how you
it's like
say her name? Is it Neve Campbell?
I think so, yeah, that's how I pronounce it.
I've always said Nev.
I don't know, maybe I'm mispronouncing it.
I've seen it both ways, but
Yeah?
I don't really know, so I just call her Sydney.
Yeah, that's probably better. Sydney Shaw it is. That's your
Yeah.
new name.
Oh, Sydney. So the plot, if you've been living under a rock, is as follows.
God.
A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of a deadly game. We've seen this movie before. We've actually talked about it once before on the show long ago. It was one of the first 60 or so shows we ever did.
Yeah, which was the theme of January. Let's revisit the older shows. That's the theme we did last year as well. It's a fun theme. I like.
Yeah,
because those audios are bad.
The past couple of years we've been kicking off the poll pick in January with like a redemption theme. We picked movies that we would like to revisit just because we did them so long ago. But yeah, Scream
Bob,
was the winner.
Why did you pick Scream? You picked this. This was your winner. Why do you feel like we need it? I believe I don't have. This is something I don't have prepared. I believe Randy told us that last time it ended with an overall score of 4.8 from the Straight Chilling crew. Why did you pick Scream for Redemption, Bob? You think it's going to get higher this time?
No, actually, yeah, I think it might. I
think
it
might. Okay.
Yeah, it might. This is just one of those movies that I think warrants a hefty amount of conversation, and I think last time we talked about it, we probably skipped over a lot of stuff. And it's just in general one of my favorite movies, like of all time, horror or otherwise. It's an all-out banger for me, and selfishly, I wanted to talk about it again. So
your favorite horror franchise, as you have said before, Bob?
It's solid, man.
Oh,
75% success. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if we can beat that 4.8 then. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if we can.
Yeah. We've all seen this before. I assume we all would recommend it, unless, Justin, you're going to surprise me and say no. I don't know.
No, I would absolutely recommend you watch Scream. I would be a fool to not recommend you watch Scream. That would be a disservice to you. To you youngsters who have never seen Scream, who Bob likes to shit on because everybody's seen Scream, right, Bob? Everybody's born from the womb seeing Scream. This movie's almost 30 years old now, Bob. I don't think you realize how old of a man you are now.
It's true. I feel like most people are aware of it, though. That's what I mean with like reading the synopsis. Most people are aware of it.
Yeah, it is what it's like 25. It came out in 96. It's like 24 years old now. Damn.
Yeah, she's old.
They they dropped this 5 days before Christmas, 96.
That's
December 20th.
Weird. That's
interesting choice. Yeah.
Hey.
It is weird.
Yeah.
But let's drop that spoiler warning and we'll get into Scream. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, you giving up?
Yep.
That is fine. Spoiler warning.
I mean, it was pretty good.
Thank you.
So, yeah, this movie starts off with a very iconic scene. Drew Barrymore, whom at this point in 1996, if you're watching this movie, you're thinking, Drew Barrymore, she's like front and center on the poster. She's a big star. She's in this movie. There's no way she's going to die in the first scene. Incorrect. Murdered. Murdered to shit.
Murdered. Dude, murdered to shit.
Yeah. It's
her boyfriend. Her buff ass high school boyfriend. That's what you get, jock.
That's what you get for playing football.
For playing the football.
You get stabbed to death.
I'm getting drunk already.
Get your...
Let's go.
Let's G. So yeah, I was doing some research, and apparently, like, Drew Barrymore was originally supposed to play Sydney, but it was her idea to not do that. It wasn't necessarily Wes Craven's idea. I guess she had a good point that, like, if she died in the first scene, that would basically set the audience up to think that anything is possible in this movie, essentially. Like, these stars are not protected in any way just because I know them, they could still die.
Yeah.
Which you want that in a horror movie. You don't want to just know that, okay, these guys, they're safe, they're fine because they're famous and they got to be in the movie, right? Or else nobody's going to watch the movie.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it now because we need to talk about a couple other things that happened, but remind me about that because I want to bring that up as like a huge positive for this movie and how this movie is brilliant, of course, like why it's brilliant in like so many ways. But I'm glad that she suggested that because it just like builds off of this like just plethora of like brilliantness that is this film. But continue.
Right. Yes. I mean that opening scene, I mean, we got the introduction of Ghostface starting with his voice, of course, calling on the phone, which is like a classic horror trope, you know, which it plays on a lot of those, obviously.
Where's that originally from? Like, what movie does that originally come from? Like, the call is coming from inside the house. What is that from?
Yeah.
Oh, When a Stranger Calls.
Okay, thank you. Goddamn, yeah.
I've never seen that.
Movie is, oh my Jesus Christ, it's so good.
Is it?
Like,
Okay.
But see, like, okay, so it came from a short film, and I don't remember what it's called. Maybe I think it's like The Babysitter, or like, oh, I'll have to look it up. But it's a short film, and it's on YouTube. And the short film is just the beginning of When a Stranger Calls. It's like the whole sequence the same.
Okay.
But that's pretty much the best part of the whole movie is just the beginning sequence, because it's the whole thing of her being in the house, the calls happening, and her finding out that he's in there. But that is the voice that he uses on the phone to talk to her is like, it's almost like Black Christmas scary.
Yeah.
But like Black Christmas has more like a psychopath thing. But he like in When a Stranger Calls, it's like this like almost like sad voice, like he's like soft and it's gross. But I think both of them are on YouTube. Like the entire When a Stranger Calls original is on YouTube because I think it's old enough.
Interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's good, and I thought the remake was okay, I guess. I mean, they take the movie, the beginning sequence of her being in the house, and make it a whole movie in the remake. So, I mean, they did it correctly, I think, like story-wise, because that's the best part of the movie. And then there's a second one from the 70s or 80s, and the storyline's trash, but there's this part where he like is hiding in this person's house, and he paints himself like the brick of their house, and like he's standing up against the wall, and like and like the whole time you're looking at this scene and you don't see him, and then he like opens his eyes.
Nuts,
dude. It's disgusting. It scared the shit out of me when I was little. But good movies, honestly.
Nice.
So just to clarify, because it does have, I guess, a little bit in like the vein of this movie. So you're saying I've never seen that film. So it is like The Call. Is that the opening sequence of that movie too? Like the original, not the remake. When a Stranger Calls, it is just the opening scene then with the like, oh, I'm like he's in the house and everything like that. Similar deal.
Yeah, it probably goes on for like. Yeah, like same as Scream, like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then she gets out or whatever. I mean, like the cops come.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Cool.
They take that trope and they sort of update it because now we have cellular telephones, right? You can call from inside the house.
Cordless.
You don't need a second landline anymore. You can just call, baby, from anywhere.
Oh my god, we gotta talk about how dated this movie is now. 24 years later, it's so nuts.
Yeah.
That's what I always wondered though about those movies like that and Black Christmas. I'm like, how are they calling their own phone number?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I know you're not supposed to think
you
about
would
that.
never think of now. Like, but yeah, back then, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got this like intensely brutal scene with Drew Barrymore in the beginning, like getting stabbed and like drug across the lawn as she's holding the phone, and her parents are like coming home and they're like right there as she's getting murdered, but they don't see her, they don't hear her. But as she's getting drugged away holding the phone, they pick up the other phone to call the cops
because the house is like trashed.
The
popcorn's on fire,
burning. And
Drew,
they
throw the freaking phone.
They hear her dying, and it's and then he like springs her up from a tree, which is just an extra little touch of brutality for some reason. Yeah, it's the last thing you would expect to happen going into this movie in the 90s, with Drew Barrymore. It's just subverting your expectations right off the bat. You're like, holy shit, what is this movie? What am I watching? It's a good way to set the tone, I think. Ghostface, the voice of Ghostface, I forget the actor's name, but something that Craven chose to do was these actors, when they're talking on the phone, they're actually talking to him. They're having a conversation in real time with the actor, but they've never seen what he looks like. He's like off stage talking to them on the phone, so that they get a more genuine reaction from them when he says, like, no, I want to see what your insides look like and shit like
Interesting.
that.
Interesting. I don't even think he was credited.
Yeah, he might not be. He might not
His name's
be.
Roger.
That's wild.
Roger
Jackson.
Roger.
He also played Mojo Jojo, so that's a thing.
Nice. That's also like 24 years old or so.
Yeah,
maybe a little less, but
Welcome to adulthood.
whoa. Prepare to be
smoke a cigarette about it.
You youngsters don't know shit about
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo.
They also, in that scene, they set up the whole, like, what's your favorite scary movie? And then he starts playing this, like, horror trivia game with Drew Barrymore, which sort of goes on throughout the movie as they name drop tons of horror movies. And, like, they specifically call out tropes and, like, they set the rules towards the end of the movie. And it cracks me up, like, Barrymore gets the answer incorrect to, like, who was the killer in Friday the 13th. She's like, of course it's Jason. Everybody says that. Everybody thinks that. But he gets around the technicality. He's like, no, it's Miss Voorhees. Because in the first one, that is true.
Yeah.
And she, like, freaks out because she's like, I've seen that movie a million times. It's like, bitch, how would you not like say that? Like, you would know then.
My mom and I always talked about that when we would watch, because my mom and I, Scream was like our like top dog, you know. And every time we'd watch it, we're like, you know, would you be too scared to remember that it's like, you know, you're in a situation where you're like, I'm gonna fucking die, and you're like, oh my god, it's Jason, I know it. And so I was like, I don't know if I'd be able to think fast enough to be like, oh, this is a trick question, you know. So every time I watch it, I'm just like, I wonder what I would do.
It's true. Yeah.
They also have a bit of, like, a reference to Halloween in that scene where the parents come home and the dad tells the mom to get in the car and drive down to the McKenzie's, which is what Laurie tells the kids to do at the end of Halloween. He's like, run down to the McKenzie's house.
McKenzie's. They'll save you.
Yeah.
We need to write a horror movie called The McKenzie's.
What's going down over there? They're just having a lovely evening. They just have a nice dinner.
They're like monster hunters or something. We need to they're like the McKenzie's.
It's just a like anthology of children and people running to the house and being like,
those poor damn McKenzie's. They're like the most vanilla fucking family on earth, but they just keep getting rung up by these kids.
Leave us alone.
I can't help you.
We've got church in the morning. Go home, kids.
It's late. So yeah, from after that scene, it sort of sets the tone for the movie. We get all meta with the name drop, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, all this other stuff. Then we finally get introduced to the actual star of the film, Sidney Prescott, star of the franchise. So I checked. Actually.
Neve, whatever her name is, Campbell. This time, I know we've brought this up from 90s movies past. She is playing, I don't know, a 17, 18-year-old, because I know Scream 2 isn't set in college, so assumingly
she's because they're like seniors. Yeah, seniors.
She's 23, so not as egregious as like a 27-year-old, but still the 90s with their fucking sexualized 23, 24, 25-year-olds playing, 16. 17.
Yeah, they don't really do that to Sydney much. I mean, pretty much.
Let's go. Like her opening, one of her opening scene. Oh yeah, definitely her. But also the whole like let's have sex. I mean, they do have and like they even do the joke of like let's keep this PG-13, and she like flashes her titties, but she doesn't really flash her titties. But I mean,
there's no actual nudity in the franchise. There is no nudity in the Scream movies.
No plus half star. They're gonna need it.
Which in itself is a bit of a subversion.
It is.
They're kind of neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got Sidney Prescott, who is our final girl in this movie, and she's one thing I always liked in this series is Ghostface consistently gets the shit knocked out of him.
I want to talk about that too. There's so many things I feel like I want to talk about because we haven't got through the whole synopsis yet, but fuck it. One of the things I love about this movie, watching it again this time, having seen it so many times, and I'm sure it's popped up into my mind before, but specifically this time when I'm thinking about we're going to talk about this again on the cast, I'm actually taking notes and shit, is knowing that one of the killers is Lillard and how ridiculous he acts in this movie. But sometimes you see it. I love how knowing that it's Lillard, you're like, Lillard's like one of the specific times I have is when the chick is throwing beer bottles at him in the garage, and he's just like taking it like a bitch, and it's just like translates so well to who the actual character ends up being. Like it's just like really it adds to that like funniness of it, like.
Yeah, Lindsay Lillard drooling on himself.
Yeah, if you think of like that's the actual and not even like Lillard, like the person, like that's the character and the way like he acts out in the movie. It's like that looks like legit. Like that seems to like translate really well. Like and not even in like a comedy aspect, just in like or he's clumsy as fuck and he's wearing a Halloween mask and like chicks are throwing beer bottles at him and they're like busting all over. It's like that sucks. Like.
Apparently, those were real really well. Beer bottles. Like, the stuntman was actually getting pelted with real bottles.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was like the one where he gets hit like pretty much in the dick. There was apparently like a target off screen McGowan was supposed to hit with a bottle, but missed it and just hit him in the dick with it. So that guy, woof. No kids for him.
He's like, get in the garage door, bitch.
Right. Which. We'll get to that scene.
We'll get to that. I know, but I know just
that shit's nuts.
Yeah.
As we meet Sidney Prescott, we also meet Billy Loomis, the boyfriend, which his name again is a reference to Scream with the character of Loomis. But Billy, as you meet him, the first thing he says is like, "I was at home watching The Exorcist, and I thought of you. How is this man not a serial killer?" Right off the bat,
dude. Yeah, immediately, and his demeanor is so like. Almost like I don't want to say like incelly, but he's like, you owe me some sex because we're together and we used to be hot and heavy. It's just like, dude, your hair's greasy. Get the fuck out of here.
He's got a 90s blonde Backstreet Boys greasy ass hair for sure.
Dude, yeah. But I mean,
his first name Billy might actually be a reference to Black Christmas, the collar being Billy.
Oh yeah.
I never put that together before.
I didn't think about that either.
No, true. There you go. But yeah, this dude is like so obviously a cooter and a killer right off the bat. But they do a pretty good job. They do a good job at trying to cover that up because, like, throughout the movie, he ends up getting arrested and put in jail because they think he is the killer because. He drops his cell phone. And that in the mid 90s, that's a clue because not everybody has a cellular phone, you know.
This fucking movie is so nuts. Like, I wonder what kid like now, like if you're like 18, 19, 20, and like in your early 20s, like what do you think of this movie? I kind of want to know, like if you're around that age, like hit us up on our hotline screen this week or something, because like. Yeah, he's even in the police like interrogation. They're like, "What are you doing with the cellular phone, son?" Right. And it's just like, holy shit! Like, just like this was released in '96. 4 or 5 years later, I mean, at that point, you know, like people are more like getting phones, but it's just like.
Well, and he says it's the '90s, sir. Everyone has one. I'm like,
wow,
no,
not yet, Billy.
Not quite. But yeah, they do a good job. Oh,
go ahead. I was going to say the same thing as you, what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, how he gets like arrested and put in jail, and then Sidney gets a call from someone else, and it's like, okay, well, he's not the killer, so he's good to go now. So they let him out of jail, and of course later we find out there's 2 killers and they're working together, which is something that is kind of rare, and it's a subversion because when in a slasher type movie, there's just one person. You don't know who it is. You might not know. Ever, I mean, you know, Black Christmas, who the hell is Billy? We don't know. Or it's just, Jason. You know, it's always Jason. It's always been Jason. He's a force of nature. But in this one, in every Scream movie, it's like a whodunit situation. The killer changes. You don't know who it is. And it's interesting to see that there's 2 in this movie, which you wouldn't expect.
That's a huge... what I couldn't even think of, like, what other movie is there, like, 2, like, a collaborative, like, killer... And it doesn't, the thing is that it like makes sense, even in the same way where I'm like, oh, you go back and you look at things and you're like, oh, like that could be like the character of Lillard. And that's why it's like so clumsy like that. Even though like it's like, even though it's like written to kind of like be a comedy, this like movie set itself up so well to where like even if you wanted to like pick apart some things about it, you can't even, because it's like, well, no, then it's just like making, or like it's pointing out the flaws or the tropes or like the things of, or like, you know, a satire of other horror movies. So even if like, oh, there's like a flaw, it's like, no, it's just like pointing at the flaw. So it's literally like set up to be this like, you can't poke holes in it. Like, yeah, you
Airtight,
can't.
man.
Yeah, it is
It
airtight,
is.
but it's like, but then what they do with it is like, if you take it on its own, like even without the comedy, it's still a solid slasher. It's
Yeah.
like, because they don't pull the punches. I swear, man, that like opening scene and kill is so brutal. Her like boyfriend gets gutted. And
Yeah.
then when the mom is like on the phone and her like daughter is dying, she's like, where is she? Like,
Yeah, her
not my
reaction's so
daughter, not my daughter. Like that shit's brutal. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's hard hitting like brutality. And also the fact that like it's just a knife that they use. Like most of the kills, like, okay, the garage door, it gets kind of nuts, like where, oh, they're crushing somebody with the garage door, but for the most part they're just stabbing bitches. And like
Yeah.
that's, and it's like kind of brutal to watch because it's like so like personal. It's like not like a, you know, even a machete and like where Jason's like hacking people's heads off and shit like that. They're just like stabbing people. And
Mhm.
like,
And sometimes it's very slow. It's a slow
yeah,
stab.
and you're like,
Yeah, ew.
fuck, that sucks. So like in just all of these realms, but at the same time they still do a great job of like poking fun at themselves. Like, okay, so the killer ends up being Billy. Literally, Jamie Kennedy says in the middle of this movie, it's
Yeah.
Billy. He says like, oh, the dad's a red herring, it's Billy. But
Yeah.
because you
Yeah,
don't think there's
yeah.
going to be two killers, you're like, oh no, Billy's the red herring. Like, it's just so fucking brilliant. It's like so
It is.
smartly written. It's it's amazing how it all came together.
When they
Yeah.
talk to him in the movie store, it's like one of the best scenes because it's like so blatant and you're just like, who is it? Like the whole time you're thinking like, who is
Mhm.
it? Oh, I love Randy.
Everyone's a suspect. Yeah.
That's right.
He
It's-
legit tells you like who it is.
Yeah. And then in that scene, though, they even flip around and they're like, well, maybe it's you because you're like the nerdy guy who's
Yeah.
obsessed with horror movies
Yeah.
and, you know, be kind of unsuspecting that the nerdy guy's the killer. But they do a good job of making you wonder, like, pretty much until the last scene, who the hell the killer is. Because you're like, okay, it's Billy. And then you're like, no, it's not Billy. And you're like, well, but maybe it is Billy because he is still very, very creepy. And then when we finally get to the party scene and
Yeah.
Sydney and Billy actually do hook up, he gets stabbed by Ghostface.
Stabbed.
And you're like, holy shit. Okay, it's
Yeah.
definitely
Okay, it's
Yeah.
not
definitely
Billy.
not.
But then it's Billy.
I will say though, freaking Sidney Prescott, and this is something we got to bring up like a couple things. Like, there's so many levels to this. I gotta like remind me to bring this back up, but I will point out now, Sidney Prescott sleeps with this dude,
Mhm.
still thinking he might be the
Yeah,
killer because as soon
Could
as
be,
they're
yeah.
done, she starts like probing him,
He's
like,
like,
oh, who was your like.
Right.
You get one
Who
call
was your
from
call?
prison.
Yeah.
Who did you? And it's like, bitch, you just slept with this motherfucker. You literally just lost your virginity to this guy who you still think could be a killer. Like, that's not chill,
While
man.
you're at a party about this killer.
Yeah.
They're like, party at our
Right.
house. This guy might kill everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my
School's
gosh.
canceled because all my friends are getting hacked up. Let's get fucked up. That sounds smart. That's
I
very
think
smart.
I think they did that because they're like, okay, Sydney just had sex. She's fair game. Is she gonna die? And you're like,
True.
oh
Mhm.
shit.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Yeah, that's sort of like happening at the same time as we're being told like these rules by Jamie Kennedy, and one of them is you cannot have sex, and bam, she has
Yeah.
sex. So they tell you like, okay, Sydney is now fair game. She very well could die, and as we have seen from the first scene of the movie, Drew Barrymore get killed. In the 90s, first time seeing this, you're like, holy shit, she might actually die. They might just kill everybody in this movie,
Yeah.
but they don't.
They could
subvert
have.
that trope.
They could have.
They just subvert some shit all over the place, but at the same time, they play into some shit.
Yeah.
Like all the tropes are kind of there and also kind of not there at the same time.
There's this one time where Jamie Kennedy is watching Halloween on the TV.
Yes.
But his name is not Jamie in the movie, and he's talking about Jamie Lee Curtis. And the killer Ghostface is right behind me. It's like, Jamie, turn around. I was like, this shit is brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Like, it's hilarious, but it's also still like a good horror. Like, it's just like so. It's like fucking catching lightning in a bottle. You could never, ever, ever do this again. Like Cabin in the Woods, like, oh, Bob, that looks good. Cabin in the Woods, I feel like definitely like is like a spiritual successor in that way because they did it in a similar kind of way. But man, Scream, it was just like, man, it just was lightning in a bottle, man. It just, it's like, it's nuts how lucky they ended up getting with like all of this. Because not only that, like, we haven't even talked about the fucking like acting in this movie. Goddamn Lillard. If Lillard doesn't just like take this like level 10 movie to like 11 with like that ending scene where he loses. I know we like to going full Lillard, man, but that shit, like, I love Lillard in this fucking movie.
Yeah, he's the best.
Fucking kills
and he's like the dopey killer that's like, it's like the classic like smart killer and dumb guy that gets bossed around, but he's just like, he does it so well, and he's just like kind of like fuck you by the end of it to Billy. He's like, dude, you fucked me up.
He puts everything into it too. I read somewhere that he improvised at one point when they're like it's like toward the end and like, oh, it's Billy and it's Lillard. I don't remember it. Just Lillard. It's Stu. And like Sydney like gets away and she's like, she calls them, she flips it on them, which is another just like cool aspect of this like movie. Yeah. And like, she's like, I called the cops, bitch. You let me go. Whatever. And he's like, did you really call the cops? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, my parents are going to be so mad at me.
So mad at me.
I read that he like improvised that or whatever. I was just like, that dude like fucking came to bring it, man. He just stepped up. Yeah, fucking Lillard killed it in this. So like just the writing and even like Drew Barrymore like stepping up and be like, no, like you should kill me. Mm-hmm. Like it just feels like it like was just this perfect combination that like you could never in your wildest dreams like replicate. Like it just like everybody that was involved was all about it and just was like on the same like wavelength, and they all just like hit their marks. And it's just like, it is, oh man, it's nuts.
Yeah. Craven almost passed on directing this. I was watching an interview with him, and he said that he wanted to get away from the horror genre, maybe do something else, because he'd done it so much. And he was at a convention, and this kid came up to get him like his autograph or something. And the kid was asking him like, hey man, you haven't made anything good in a while. You should probably make something good again. And that's what made him go, okay, well, I'll direct Scream. that kid had to call him out.
Hey, there you go.
So, thanks, little kid, for
I hope that kid
sucks.
Hope that kid's having a great life.
Right, yeah. So let's talk about the motivation a little bit here. So there's actually a decent amount going on plot-wise. So we find out through watching various news clips and, Gail Weathers, the news reporter, being a huge bitch and talking to Sydney about this. So Sydney's mom, 1 year prior, was allegedly raped and murdered by this guy named Cotton Weary, whom Sydney Prescott basically fingered him. She was up on the stand and said, yeah, I saw that man in my home the night my mother was killed. So Cotton Weary is now in jail. And these murders start happening 1 year after her mother was killed, and now she's kind of second guessing, like, well, fuck, maybe it wasn't Cotton Weary. Maybe I accidentally put this man in jail and he's innocent. And Gail Weathers, the news reporter, wrote a book on this whole thing, basically stating that, yes, that's exactly what happened. This is an innocent man in jail. And so there's some tension between Gail and Sydney because they obviously don't agree on who killed her mother. And so this whole thing is going on. And we come to find out at the end of the movie, when we find out who the killers are, that Billy his dad was sleeping with Sydney's mom, and that sort of broke his family up, and that's what caused Billy to want to kill his mom. So Cotton Weary is an innocent man, and we find out that Billy is the murderer, has been the whole time, and Matthew Lillard is just sort of like his dopey friend who was kind of peer pressured into helping him, which is kind of loosey-goosey, but that's just kind of how it goes, right? They also say that, it's the 90s. Motivation is really of no consequence at this point.
Yeah.
People are just psychopaths. They just are, so they do crazy shit.
Yeah.
So that's sort of our killer's motivation here. And as a team at the end, they just like self-destruct, and it's a blast to watch.
Yeah.
Lillard drooling all over himself, and of course he's like, these days, baby, you gotta have a sequel. And which of course they're gonna make sequel. And the line where I think Billy says it, where he's like, don't blame the movies. Movies don't create psychopaths; they make psychopaths more creative. And that line is what caused the MPAA to want to give this an NC-17 rating, because they're like, that is not cool. You can't put that out there. That's a sensitive topic. And of course, Wes Craven wrote them many letters about how that's just an idea. That's not blood and guts on the screen that you have a problem. That's just an idea. You can't do this, basically. And I know the Weinstein name is not great these days, but Harvey Weinstein had to step in, and he got involved with the MPAA and convinced them to see this movie as a straight up comedy, which it's comedic, but because he did that, they were willing to leave that line in and give this an R rating instead of an NC-17 rating. So he did that, man. And that's why this movie was able to keep that line in, which I think really adds a lot to this movie, because that whole argument that media that contains violence, whether it be movies or video games or whatnot, makes people kill people is insane, and it's not founded in reality whatsoever. And this movie commenting directly on that is smart. And thanks, Kevin Williamson, for writing such a fucking baller movie.
So, Rob, you would consider Harvey Weinstein a hero then?
No, I do not. Don't even joke with that shit. The man's a monster. Everybody knows he's done horrible things. And you know what? I bet he hates horror movies because he's an asshole.
And we hate him. So
right.
But what you said about the him saying they make psychopaths more creative or whatever, that's like I guess a theme throughout all four movies is they do the life imitates art, which imitates life. They talk about it all the way to the fourth one. And I think it's cool because it is a movie about serial killers. And then the second one, they make a movie about the first one. And then people kill people from the movie. And then they go all the way to the fourth one with that, like, kind of dominoes, like domino effect. And I think it's cool because we are watching a movie, but to them in the second movie, they watched a movie. I don't know. It's just fucking.
It's like
where they talk about the stab series.
Inception.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit. You have to actually at a certain point, especially when you get to the fourth one, that opening scene, you're like, wait, how many movies are in this movie and who's watching the movies? And I'm watching them watch these movies. They're of people watching movies, and you're like, oh, it's like your mind starts to blow a little bit. You're like, okay, all right,
what's
Kevin.
real?
Yeah, it's definitely that chicken or the egg type deal, and it's something that I feel like they kind of borrowed from the idea of even sci-fi movies, as you see technology advance and oh shit, this is stuff that they talked about in sci-fi movies. You're like, well, yeah, that probably inspired some kid 20 years later to be like, I gotta make that. And so of course it then it inspires, but then it's well, it all kind of feeds into this loop of
cycle.
Well, yeah, the life, like you said, true life then does inspire new ideas, and then those ideas inspire new, it just keeps going and going and going. So
yeah. I do. I want to give a shout out here to Henry Winkler playing the principal in this movie.
Yeah,
dude, yeah.
He's a fucking badass, man. I love his character. He's not in it for very long, but these kids are dressing up in the Ghostface costume, running around and terrorizing Sydney and her friends and stuff. And he gets a hold of these kids and pulls them in the principal's office, and he's got these scissors, and he's like brandishing these scissors at them.
It's like the worst
And he's
like-
principal.
He's just like telling these kids about themselves, and he's like, "Your whole thieving, whoring generation, you're all worthless." Like, fucking tell him, Fonz.
He
I like
does
And
have
they're
a
like,
weird.
"It's not-"
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he was like the little kid's like, that's not fair. He's like, oh, fair, huh? And he just like sticks those scissors on his chest. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, dude! If my freaking principal did that, I'd shit my pants. But
Yeah,
I mean, he's not wrong. He kind of gives them what
Yeah.
they deserve. But
that was
he-
improv too. The scissor thing.
really
Oh, was it?
Started doing that. Yeah.
that's cool.
He has a weird moment where like the cops are in the office and they bring Sydney in and he like strokes her like face. I don't know if y'all
Oh,
like
yeah.
picked up on that. It's like,
You're
what
right.
the
Yeah.
fuck is going on?
Woof.
90s.
Yeah. At that point, you're like, well, shit, maybe he's the killer.
Yeah,
'Cause you
Yeah.
have no idea. Everybody
Oh,
is a
shit.
suspect. And then, of course, we see the janitor that's straight up Freddy Krueger in the sweater,
Yeah.
looking
It's Wes
crusty as hell.
Craven.
yeah, that's Wes
Yeah.
Craven in that. He's like,
That's,
what'd you call me?
That shit is awesome.
Dude, the stuff that they
Um,
do in that movie, like that, and then when she's on the deck and she's like, "This is like it's straight out of a Wes Craven or a Wes Carpenter movie," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, damn it, it's so good."
Yeah, and they're playing Halloween in the movie. That fucking like God, this movie is like so funny too. That scene where he's like, it's broad daylight and Ghostface is just like creeping through the bushes. That shit like gets me every time. It almost there are like scenes where like I feel like I'm watching Scary Movie or like I get them like
Mhm.
scenes from Scary Movie and interchange because then like the scene pops up where like it's just broad daylight and like he's creeping through the bushes. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. Like that is some shit you would almost see in Scary Movie, which is just straight up like a satire comedy. And it's like it's just so ridiculous.
So
You're just
good.
creeping through those bushes. It's just like really funny in this like black robe or whatever. It's just ridiculous.
I
And
think
like
Yeah.
getting his ass busted with those beer bottles. Like he just like takes it like such a bitch and it's like really funny.
yeah, I think there's a part too where they're going to get like beer for the party and they close the little like glass door and he's standing there. I'm like, dude,
Just chilling. Yeah.
yeah, you're just in this like convenience store full outfit. It's just like, nah, dude, I'm good.
Creeping, yeah, like no one would see you.
God,
Oh my god.
what a movie.
Oh my lord.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, there's that whole last bit where like they actually scored the movie to the soundtrack of Halloween. Like like
Mhm.
even the
Yeah.
stabs in the score line up with like jumps that are happening in Scream. So it's like commenting on these slasher films, but it's like almost choreographed to have the same beats as the end of Halloween does in certain scenes
You
anyway.
mean the stabs line up to things that are
Like-
happening in Halloween?
No,
Yeah.
in
Oh,
Scream.
in this. Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
like somebody's popping out in Scream, but then you'll hear the stab from Halloween being played in the
From
next one. It like lines
okay.
up that way.
Okay. I see the alternate. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
layered and like how you like come up with that is insanity. Like I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't-
yeah, we find Sydney's dad. He's been kidnapped and they try to frame him, but it doesn't work because Sydney's a bad bitch and stabs
Bad bitch.
stabs Billy, I think, with the umbrella, and then Gail Weathers comes in to save the day with a gun, and they even do that thing at the very end where like, okay, the killer's dead, but this is the part in the movie where the killer comes back for one last scare, and of course
One
he
last
does,
scare.
like
Yeah.
wakes up and which he's obviously dead. It's like it's pretty funny. Like, that man is deader than a doornail, but he still like jumps one more time. You're like,
And he just goes,
yeah.
We
Now
gotta
here's-
rewind a tiny bit. Whenever she kills
Yeah.
Stu, that scene, that
Oh
kill
yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
With the TV. Now I think that's inspired by Friday the 13th. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, because this also shows how dated this movie is, because she crushes Stu's head with just a standard in your
Giant
house
tube TV.
television. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Heavy as
kids,
shit.
if you didn't know, back in the day, them TVs were fucking heavy as shit. That was some real glass
Heavy.
and like tubes
Top
and
heavy.
shit. Yeah. You could crush a bitch's head with that. Could you kill somebody with the TV these days? Probably not. I don't think you
Nah.
crush somebody's head. But also, was it Nightmare on Elm Street part? We covered it, 3 or 4, where the
3.
dudes, yeah,
Thinking of
where
3.
they the TV like head smash
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah,
Dream Warriors. Yeah.
I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
inspired by that. It made me
Might have
think of
been.
it at least.
It could be.
Yeah.
And like as the TV falls on his face, you see Laurie on screen brandishing a knife, like right out as it falls on his face. It's like that's
Yeah.
perfect. It's perfect.
Tiny little
Uh,
perfect.
Lillard.
Yeah.
Crushed.
Yeah. We didn't really talk much about old Deputy Dewey, played by
Not
David
really
Arquette,
at
who was
all,
like
yeah.
a bumbling fool. He's hilarious. He's
I'm an
that's
officer of the
hilarious.
law. When I
That's
wear this badge, you treat me like an officer of the law.
Right.
That's another one where like just the parody of Scary Movie like blends in my mind.
Oh, it's the same person almost.
Yeah, where like Dewey's like so ridiculous, and like, but just like the scenes of him like jerking off with like a vacuum cleaner, like, you know, like using a vacuum cleaner, like it just like gets infused, like they just blend in because he's like such a doofus or whatever.
He is just a, and like him and Gail Weathers, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, come on. But
Yeah. They were boning in real life. They got married
they
after
were.
this movie. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, they got
I'm sure it
divorced during like
lasted.
the 3rd or 4th
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, they did
So-
also get divorced.
That would be
So
weird to like come
awkward.
back to work on a sequel with your
Yeah.
ex-wife where you're playing like you're married. That would be that would
Yeah.
be tough.
It would be.
But yeah, Officer Dewdrop is one of that guy calls him. He is one good piece of this. He's very like he's like you said, Scary Movie. He's just like a comedic like doofus this whole time, and throughout all of them he just keeps getting just fucked up after fucked up. He gets like shot in the first one in the back, or no, stabbed. I'm sorry. He gets stabbed in the first one in the back, and then he has this weird like run limp in the rest of them, and he like almost dies again, and it's just like,
Yeah.
this guy's just meant to be here to be laughed at.
He gets worked.
I love that they
does.
keep it consistent though. They like bring it back, like, oh yeah, he actually was stabbed, or
Yeah.
whatever. He's got the limp and shit.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we give our final rating on Scream?
I did have one hole I wanted to point out.
Oh, okay.
One potential flaw in this movie after we've filleted it.
Mhm.
The killers. This is
Mhm.
something I was thinking about. I've seen this movie like countless times now. So I was like, what am I going to knock this movie on if I can or whatever? The killers' whole goal is to kill Sydney, but to blame it on her dad
Mhm.
and use the excuse that it's her mother's 1-year anniversary when she died, and her like dad goes crazy. They're gonna kill Sydney, and then they're gonna make it look like the dad shot himself after he killed a bunch of like Sydney's friends or whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
but why the fuck are they trying to kill Sydney like throughout this whole movie? If their whole like master plan is to like wait until the 1-year anniversary, like them bitches are like in her room like
Mm.
2 nights before, like trying to kill her and shit. Like obviously to
that's a
fill
fair
out the
point.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when real like that would fuck up their whole plan. Like they're trying
Yeah.
trying to kill her while her dad's like still at the house. Like he hasn't left on his business trip yet or whatever. He's like a trucker, he drives or whatever. But it's just like they go through this whole thing like, oh, we thought this all out. It's like you've been trying to kill her this whole fucking movie. Like that
But they
shit
also
would have like
say-
gone out the window.
Motives are incidental. They're just crazy.
Yeah.
They're just crazy.
They
But
probably just made it
then
up
why
on the
have a plan
spot.
at all?
Yeah, could have. All right, let's rate this out of 5. Danielle, why don't you kick us off? How you feel about Scream?
Well, it's the best movie ever made, and the best franchise. I have one of 2 tattoos I'm gonna get for it. I have Billy on one side, and I'm gonna get Stu on the other. And I
Cool.
just got pet rats named Sydney and Tatum, so I kind of like this movie a little bit.
Yeah.
And I honestly, even with Soju's little hole he just put in it, boo. I 5 out of 5, easily, like easily.
Right on.
perfect movie.
All right, Justin, what about you? How you feel?
Yeah, this movie, it's great. Like I said, it's lightning in a bottle, and everything about it just came together well. The acting is great, the writing is great, and like the subversions, like just the great mixture of still being a great original kind of like slasher with the comedy mixed in, with them literally like telling you who the killer is, but you just can't believe it because like you're a horror fan. Like, no, they wouldn't tell me like who the killer is, and like everything. It's just, and the 2 killers, like it all works like so well. And yeah, I try to bring up that like hole, but it like doesn't even matter because like I said, like the way they've almost made themselves like you can't poke holes in it because it's just like the idea of like, oh, we're just making fun of other slashers, or we're showing you like how flawed like the genre is and stuff like that. It's brilliant. It just like surrounds itself in brilliance. Lightning in a bottle. So of course I gotta give this the old straight chillin' solid 1 star. Write it down, Bob.
I'm not writing that down.
Write it down, Bob. Write it
Not
down. That's the
You're
score.
lying.
It's a solid 1 star.
You're a liar. Why are you lying to the people at home?
It's solid, Bob. It's solid gold. Solid gold 1 star.
I mean, it's 10 o'clock, so it's time to lie. It's okay to lie now.
So 1 + 4. Is that what's
Bob,
happening?
write it down. Write it
I'm
down.
not writing it
That's
down.
the
I'm
score
not
that
writing
you've
it
been
down.
given. You cannot
mean it.
dictate these scores, Bob.
You don't mean it. You did not justify that score. I will not write it down.
Bob, it's a solid 1 star. It's a straight chillin' tradition, Bob.
It's not. I mean, it happened one time.
It
You're not
is,
that
Bob.
drunk. You haven't had a handle of whiskey. You're not that drunk.
That's the score that you've been given. That's what you have to accept. I'm sorry you have to accept that fate, but you brought this on yourself by choosing to revisit Scream when it had a 4.8 rating, Bob. That's what you get.
This is ridiculous. Okay, I am going to give this movie a 5-star because it's fucking
Interesting.
incredible.
Justify yourself.
Yay.
Well, the movie, like I said, it sort of it takes the piss out of the media creating monsters, which I absolutely agree with, and I think it's funny to me that you would use a horror movie to comment on that, sort of just like waving the finger at people who actually believe that. It's just written so airtight. Kevin Williamson like really honed this shit in. Apparently he wrote this in like 30 days, which is almost unbelievable to consider.
Damn.
But it just does a great job at sort of deconstructing slasher tropes while also respecting them and just using a lot of them still. So it very much like respects the horror genre while it's commenting on how ridiculous the horror genre is. And it's also like highlighting these things and saying, you know what, we like it, but what if we don't do that exactly? With the whole like, you know, virgins survive, but our final girl is no longer a virgin, but she's like this total badass and survives in the end. It's just got a lot of well-written characters. The performances are like through the roof. Everybody legitimately is a suspect and they're all like believable. It's got a healthy love of comedy in it. The score and soundtrack are phenomenal. The inclusion of Red Right Hand is, I fucking love that song. It's a great song.
Same.
It's got two of the most iconic scenes I can think of in recent memory, or not even recent anymore, and just like horror cinema with the very opening scene with Drew Barrymore and like the whole end scene at the party. Like pretty much that whole party scene, start to finish, is just like banging on all cylinders. There's just so much happening in that scene. It pulls you into the movie and it holds your attention. I remember the first time I saw it, I was way too young and it just terrified me. I didn't get any of the comedy or the fact that it was commenting on anything because I hadn't seen slasher movies really because I was like 12. It terrified me and I was like, this movie's terrifying. Why would anybody enjoy this? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me.
People are just dying. I don't like it.
Right. Yeah. This man's drooling uncontrollably. What's happening? Of course, like I get it now. It's funny, but it's also very scary. It just, Wes Craven fucking is the perfect man to direct this movie. He kind of did this already when he returned to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise with Wes Craven's New Nightmare. He comments on the franchise itself, and I think that was like a really great stepping stone for him being the perfect director for this movie. It's just, I got no complaints. I really got no complaints. One of my favorite movies of all time, 5 stars. That's going to give us a perfect 5-star rating.
That's
here.
Going to give us an average of a 3.666666, Bob. So let's go ahead and put that down.
5 stars.
3.666666.
Perfect 5 stars from the Straight Chilling crew.
Let me go ahead and do Bob's job. Bob's job
we're right and wrongs,
is
baby.
3.666666. We'll go ahead and put that down on the old spreadsheet. I'll make sure Randy updates it accurately. 3.6.
You have access to the spreadsheet yourself.
I'll make sure Randy updates it accurately to 3.6.
Oh my God. You are out of control, man. Let's
Bob,
go
you
ahead
can't
and jump
dictate
into...
my scores, okay? You
No,
can't dictate my scores.
Man, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. Let's jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Scream.
Certified fresh to death.
Perfect.
That
Perfect.
was so good.
Thank you.
Watching that was even better.
Thank you.
I am so glad I did not ruin this segment this time, and I don't even know the scores.
Hey,
I don't
there
know
you go.
them.
Good.
So
Nice.
And
All
even
right.
though we've covered this and we probably did the Rotten Tomato scores, it was like 4 or 5 years. Like
Yeah.
we've been doing this
It
too
was like
damn
5
long.
years ago,
Nobody
yeah.
knows. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
let's get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment. So I think eventually Randy will be taking over the segment, but he's not here. So I'll be handling it for now. We're going to go around the table, and you guys are going to try to guess first the critic score. Total count on the critics is 71. So let's let our guest go first. Danielle, what do you think the 71 critics have rated Scream?
71. I would say it's percent, right?
Yeah, percent.
Yeah,
out of 100. Out of 100.
Out of 100. I'm going to say 81%.
81. Okay. Robert, what do you think 71 critics have rated this?
Ooh. I'm going to go with the year it was released, 96%.
96. You think that highly, huh, Bob? You think it's
I do.
that good? You just can't accept that maybe an average of 3.6666 is where this movie should be. Okay. So
That's ludicrous.
81 and 96 are the scores we have. Danielle is going to take it with the win. Certified fresh. It is sitting at a 79%, Bob, which is curiously close to the Straight Chilling Crew's new average of 3.666, which would translate to around 72%. The critic consensus is Horror icon Wes Craven's subversive deconstruction of the genre is sly, witty, and surprisingly effective as a slasher film itself, even if it's a little too cheeky for some, Bob. Men of the people, men and women of
No, we're
Bob.
not.
We are
You're
so
fired.
close to that
It's
critic
too early to be
consensus.
trolled this hard. It's too early.
Let's see what the audience has to say about this. Oozer ratings. 4,700. Wait, no. 478,000. Sorry, I'm fucking drunk. 478,219 is the number of oozers we are looking at. We're going to let Rob go first this time. He's so confident. Bob, audience score. Are we men and women of the people? What do you think?
I do think it's going to be higher than the critics score. I mean, probably not 96%, but I'll go like, I don't know, 85.
85. All right.
Yeah.
Danielle, what do you think the people have to say about this?
I was also thinking in the 80s, so I'll do a double, 88.
88. All right. Bob is going to take the victory this time. The overall score, Bob, 79%. Matching the audience score, surprisingly close to the Straight Chillin' Crew score.
No!
Of an average of 3.666.
Oh my God. This is a thing. This is now a thing. Ridiculous.
Reluctantly
No.
a thing.
Mm-hmm.
No respect. No
Mhm.
respect.
All right, that is our Rotten Tomatoes segment. We have proven once again that we are men and women of the people.
Man, you get back to freaking South Korea and all of a sudden you're a whole new man, disrespecting Scream with a 1 star. It's bullshit.
I said it's a solid 1 star, Bob. What didn't you hear?
That's some bullshit from the Straight Chillin' Crew. Some bullshit.
You brought this on yourself, Bob.
Mm-hmm. Well, Randy is not here. We're going to go ahead and skip some trivia for this evening.
We are incapable
I tried
of
to
looking up trivia without Randy. That has been proven.
I sprinkled some throughout the conversation.
I know.
You know, a little
Randy
smidge.
himself doesn't even like to look up trivia, which is why he's taking over Rotten Tomatoes segment in this upcoming year.
This is true. But we do have some hotline screams we got to get to.
All right.
Yeah, we've got 3 voicemails coming at you this week. If you are listening yourself and you'd like to call in and leave us a voicemail to be played on the show, you can do that. You can call us at 904-638-3231. Just a heads up, there's a 3-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Talk quickly. So yeah, we got 3 voicemails. Who we got coming up first there, Soju?
I was gonna ask you, but let's start with Dharmic just so I can close this tab out. So Dharmic sent it a little special way. So let's go with Dharmic first. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, it's your friendly Canadian Dharmic here. I couldn't call you on New Year's Eve because the Red Stag got the better of me. So you're getting a Red Stag hangover call. I'm really not sure why anyone would choose to drink Red Stag at this point. Oy. Anyways, wanted to call and wish you guys a happy new year. And Bob, I wish you the best in your physical media show. Good luck and Godspeed putting your addiction to good use.
That is a tribute to Shaboy Red Stag Randy. Not Shaboy.
Red Stag Randy.
Red Stag Randy. That was our Halloween episode. I had to go back and listen to that because I was like, that shit was funny as fuck. him saying like, "I did not open a bottle of Red."
That was our Texas Chainsaw double feature,
Yeah.
which went long because we talked about 2 movies, and Randy ran
It was
out.
like over 3 hours, and Randy drank a whole bottle of Red.
He ran out of whiskey.
Oh my, dude was drinking from the bottle at the end of the 3-hour mark, and we were like, "Oh my god, is he gonna die?"
That shit got really, really funny.
Yeah.
Really funny.
Shit got nuts.
Red Stag, Randy. Thanks, Darmic, for calling in, man. First time hearing from you, I believe, on the hotline stream.
Was it?
Also,
I guess we talked to him so much on the
think
Slack
so.
that it's hard.
We
yeah,
do.
It's hard for me to
Yeah,
remember.
we hit him up on Slack regularly. But also, thanks for shouting out and supporting Let's Get Physical Media. See,
Heck
Justin,
yeah.
you've created a monster. You have created a
I
monster.
created it. Bob likes to.
Uh-huh.
Bob like this is the projection era of Bob. He can't take responsibility for his own actions, you know. Bob, we know that jet ski's headed your way. You know, we confirmed. We confirmed that Bob could have bought a jet ski, and he somehow wants to blame it on me. Mm-hmm.
I do. It's your fault, man.
This is why you're getting
yeah.
solid 1 stars, Bob. You know.
I wanted to talk about discs so much that I had to start a whole new show for it.
Good. I'm glad you did. I will say, Bob, I am surprised and ashamed. And ashamed that the theme song to the new Let's Get Physical Media, because I of course supported and listened to the first episode, but the theme song was not the bump that we used for How to Save a Life. I thought for sure that would have been the theme song to your new show, but you didn't keep it. You were too ashamed, I suppose.
No, it's a new thing. It's a whole. We're not saving lives anymore. I'm dead. I'm resurrected. I'm a zombie coming at you. Zombie blob.
Phoenix.
Blob. So we got we got a couple more. Who are we hearing from next?
Let's hear from Hydraberg.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
Hydraberg, the truth is out there.
Fucking mic drop.
The truth is out there. That shit got me good. Dude,
Yeah,
that's in reference to last episode in which we covered our favorite documentary of all time, which is I can't remember the
Bigfoot
name.
Monster Mystery.
The movie we have seen more than many other better films, but it is hilarious. We have seen that movie way too many times. It's okay though, because it's like 40 minutes, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's a quick hitter. That's Hydraberg doing his best Bigfoot impression, which is pretty good, man. Sounds pretty legit.
I know. I wonder what those like professional, professors are saying about Hydraberg's impersonation, because apparently that sound that was recorded could not have been a human being. It couldn't not have been replicated. But I thought Hydraberg did a pretty good job. I thought it sounded like a Sasquatch to me.
Pretty damn close, man. He must have been practicing.
I believe it.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. Nice. All right. And we've got one more hotline scream. This is from Shaboy Rage Cat. Here we go.
Shaboy.
Yo, what up? It's Rage Cat here again, calling back at the hotline scream. And I heard the call to say what the favorite moment of 2019 was, and I think after my very fun call that I had with you guys once, or a message, I should say, it has to be the time that you guys just started cracking up over that fucking rat and Halloween Resurrection, fucking Myers thing, just eating rat stomachs. Fucking rats. So I thought that I would chime in with my favorite moment of 2019 just being that, because I still fucking think about it sometimes. That fucking rat is still great. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing and hearing what you guys do in 2020. So,
So did he call Michael Myers Stains? Is that what he said?
Dude,
He might
that
have.
was fucked up.
Sound like he was a little twisted, yeah. Calling it.
Probably hitting that red stag. That dude, I agree though. That was one of my favorite moments from 2019. Dude, that rat scene is probably one of my favorite Halloween moments. That's
in reference to the Halloween Resurrection episode we did, where there's this half-eaten rat that's obviously dead, but it comes back alive real quick, which is ridiculous. Apparently, Michael Myers is just eating some rats, because he does that, I guess. But that rat ain't dead. That's a zombie rat, baby.
Dude,
still alive.
The bite that was out of the rat was like so humongous.
It's got a big mouth, man.
Dude, and it was somehow still alive. That shit got me good. That was a good episode. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, that was fun, man. That movie is just terrible.
Yeah,
that is not good.
That is the best scene by far.
The best scene. That's really
just good for some laughs.
It is. Yeah, it's good to laugh at. That's for sure. Michael Myers gets like hit right in the dick too. That
movie's bad. That movie's bad.
Movie's not good.
Oh man.
Well, thank you, Rage Cat. I'm glad you enjoyed the Halloween Resurrection episode.
That's that shit's nuts. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We want to pose a question for you this week for the hotline screen. What's your most anticipated release of 2020? What's coming out that you're looking forward to? And of course, I expect to hear many people say most anticipated is Halloween Kills.
Absolutely. It's gotta be Halloween Kills. Who would pick anything? Dude, let me be honest. I'm dreading that movie. Like, even if it's good, I'm dreading the conversation that's going to surround that movie just because the last one was so mediocre, but people don't want to admit it.
Dude, what if in this one they make like a rat meat banh mi sandwich?
That would be fine. We talked about that in Resurrection. That would be fine. That would be fine.
We
talk about goddamn banh mi sandwiches. I'm going to like throw a Coke at the screen.
I'm gonna
fucking screen. I'm peacing out.
Oh man. So hit us up. What's your most anticipated release of 2020? I'm gonna do something since this is like the first episode we actually are recording in the new year. I'm gonna do something similar that I did last year. I kind of have like a mock top 10 list that I want to run down, and then at the end of the year, I like to look back and see how accurate I was, how many movies were on my original list, lasted, and remained on my final list.
Fun.
Yeah, so last year Bob picked Glass.
I did. Yeah, foolish me.
I know. I tried to warn Bob. I felt so bad for him at the time. I expressed
2019 Bob was a damn fool.
He was a damn fool.
Smarter,
so
baby.
Naive. Let's see what Bob's got. God, Halloween Kills is gonna be on there. Here we go.
Of course it is. All right, mock top 10 for 2020. Halloween Kills. Yeah, it's on there. Halloween Kills. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have them ranked, Bob, or is it just a general list?
Loosely
I guess that would
ranked,
have to be
I guess.
Yeah.
I've got the new James Wan flick, Malignant. I'm really looking forward to that. Apparently, it's going to be a giallo type movie, which I'm very intrigued. Want to see what that's about.
There's always room for giallo, Bob.
There is. This movie coming out, I think March. It's called The Lodge. It looks like it's
God.
Right. Yeah, there's a trailer.
I want to see it so bad.
It looks like twisty turny, maybe. It seems like they're not giving a whole lot away, but you're in a lodge in the middle of the woods, and it's like snowing, and there are these kids, and it just looks creepy. I think there's like a cult involved, perhaps. I don't know. It looks interesting. I forget who
Yikes.
directed that. I forget who directed it.
Can't
off top.
tell you that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Nope.
Anyway, check that trailer out. It looks pretty cool. 4, Color Out of Space. Nick
Hell
Cage
yeah,
movie.
dude. Fuck yeah.
That shit looks cool.
Give me that new Nick
Lovecrafty
Cage
shit. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm excited for that. Gretel and Hansel. That freaking movie looks
Yeah.
dope. That trailer
It
needs
looks
to be seen.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say what I'm gonna say because I don't know what else is on your list. So just go ahead. I'll come back.
Okay. Yeah, that's a new joint from Oz Perkins, Gretel and Hansel. Number 6, Come to Daddy, an Elijah Wood joint. Looks like his dad might be a bit of a murderous psychopath. Looks interesting.
I like that they work at a beach house.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks nice.
Just like that's
Pleasant.
not somewhere you get a lot of horror movies, you know, like this tropical beach house. It's like that's kind of cool.
Yeah. 7, The Invisible Man looks pretty interesting. Blumhouse
Yep.
joint. 8. A
You
Quiet
think
Place
Tom
2.
Cruise is going to show up in that, Bob? You think he's going to make a cameo? You think he'll give us his
Dude.
classic scream?
That would be
God.
wild.
Maybe it'll be a jump scare. Maybe she's watching like The Mummy on the television.
Dude,
Damn
that would
it.
be hilarious. You got dumbass Tom Cruise falling from an airplane in the background. Oh, that movie's such a dumpster fire. Holy crikey. A Quiet Place 2.
Yes.
That trailer looks baller, and I'm surprised to say
did.
that. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks
me
really
too.
good.
Number 9, Edgar Wright's new joints. I think this is an Edgar Wright movie. Last Night in Soho looks pretty interesting.
Yes.
It's got to be like a, I guess, like a sci-fi-ish horror movie is what it is being pitched as. I think it's coming out later in the year. And
Is
number
that-
10, I don't think so, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't know anything about it, but I saw it on the list.
Number 10, the last one I got here is going to be Glenn Danzig's Verotica. I cannot wait to see this movie.
You are
Apparently,
like
it's-
very excited about that movie, Bob.
It's been described as like a horror version of the movie The Room. So it's like
Oh.
very much
hell
cult
yeah.
status. Like maybe Glenn Danzig's not the best director, but it's one of those things that's like a train wreck. You kind of have to see it to believe it. I
Yeah,
cannot wait
people
to see this.
hyping it up that way though. That
true.
that
It's-
might
yeah.
be your pick. Well, no, not quite. It's probably gonna be Halloween Kills for sure, but
Rat meat sandwich, baby.
but yeah, I don't. People hyping it like, oh, it's this, like that. That was like such a specific movie that like even people comparing it to it makes me like dubious. I'm like,
Yeah. I
Mm.
don't know. We'll see. It's coming out the end of February, I believe. So maybe
Okay.
we'll have to do like a mini
Oh, wow,
cast
that's
on
soon.
it at least. Yeah. It's coming out pretty quick. A lot of those are coming out in the first quarter of the year because obviously I know more about what's coming out in the first quarter than I do the rest of the year.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see about it.
What's Bob's Glass this year? Halloween Kills. for sure.
Bob's Glass. I hope not, man. I really hope that movie's good. We'll see. What you got, Danielle?
I was gonna say what I was gonna say earlier is The Lodge, The Turning, and Gretel and Hansel. Those all came out like at the same time with the trailers, and I kind of got The Turning and The Lodge like mixed up sometimes, and so I was like, wait, which movie is this? Like when it would start, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to see The Lodge, and I'm like, oh wait, that's The Turning. I don't know what I'm watching, but all of those movies are like weird kids and like wintertime. Like I love the feel of all three of those movies. I can't wait to see them. That's it.
Yeah.
There's also a movie coming out called Antlers that's Del Toro produced.
Yeah.
I can't quite figure out like what's gonna be going on there, but I'm definitely intrigued by it.
The guy who made Channel Zero, he wrote that as a short story first.
Okay.
And you can read it online, but I mean it'll tell you. I read it like I think a couple years ago, and I didn't know they were making a movie out of it, so I spoiled it for myself.
Well,
But from the trailer, it looks like they're going to change a lot of it because it's a very. I mean, I don't know how you'd make a movie out of this short story because it's a very short time period. But it's fucking good. Like I can't wait for that movie.
all right. So yeah,
Nice.
that was another one that like kind of piqued my interest for sure.
Yeah.
It's a new
Yeah.
decade. You think we're gonna slump a scotch? Probably gonna slump a scotch.
It depends on how fucked up the world gets. If we keep spiraling out of control, then we'll probably get some good horror movies this decade.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know how it could top last decade. It was the greatest horror decade.
Dude, I mean, it was thick.
Yes.
It was thick.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll see. But yeah, there's some good stuff coming out this year, seemingly, anyways. The Grudge, I don't know about that one.
Off to a rough start.
Starting off rocky.
Hey,
But,
we get the bad ones out of the way.
Right. So yeah, let us know what you're anticipating. We'd love to hear from you. That's about all we got for this week's show. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you on. And thank you so much for respecting the movie Scream and giving it a proper 5-star rating like it deserves.
Because it's the
Bob,
best movie ever made.
You're just projecting over there, Bob. Everybody's got to bend to your will, huh, Bob?
Bob's just a projector this year. That's all Bob is.
Little
On
blobby
me.
Bob.
Blob. Danielle, one more time. You want to tell people where they can find you and your spooky doings?
Yes, my spooky doings. I am the Ghoulish Girl on Twitter and Instagram. I am a part of Ghoulish Cast. You can find us on pretty much every podcast platform. And then we also have a new website under Something Ghoulish that has all of our stuff, like I mentioned earlier, video, essays, editorials, editorial/think pieces. All of our podcasts are on there. And then our joint Twitter account is @GhoulishShow, so you can follow us there too.
Dope.
You guys make
check them
great
out.
content.
Yeah, you guys do good work.
It's a fun time.
Check them out. Show them some love. So we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back next week with another show. We're gonna be coming out the gate actually with our very first Patreon pick of the quarter. We're gonna be talking about.
Can
Tobe
we even
Hooper's,
reveal? Oh.
Yeah. People got to know what to watch, bro. Tobe Hooper's Life Force, which was chosen by the one, the only Hydraberg.
Just trying to keep it secret. Reveal! Hydraberg.
Yeah, reveal. I haven't seen that one in a few years. I'm excited to revisit it.
I feel like I might have seen it, but I'm not clear. So I'll let you know next week if I was correct or not.
Well, I look forward to that. I'll be waiting. I'll be anticipating.
We'll see if Randy shows up.
He should. Yeah, Randy should be back next week unless something crazy happens. But yeah,
crazy things happen.
Be back. They do. They do. So until next week.
I mean, Scream got a 3.66666 this week.
Oh my Lord!
That's pretty crazy.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. It's a really great way to support the show that only costs a minute or two of your time. Your ratings help people find us that don't know we exist. We really do appreciate that. We love seeing those. You can also hit us up on Twitter at STR8_chilling, Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join our Slack channel, it's a new year. If you want to get a little more involved with the Straight Chilling crew, we have a Slack channel. We talk to people on there every day of the week about the movie of the week. We talk about horror TV, video games, news, anything and everything we want. Music. We've got a really awesome community happening on Slack. So if you want to join, just let us know on any one of those social media platforms, and I'll send you a link so you can join us on Slack. Keep your eyes and ears open for new episodes of Let's Get Physical Media. We got one dropping this Tuesday. Justin's got his Tuesday list dropping first Tuesday the first Tuesday of every month, right? Juice on YouTube. Yep.
Got new Twitch games coming. We twitching over here.
So we got a lot of shit.
Bracket of Blood. Did we mention? God, we got just like too many things. You might be getting a mini episode this week. You
Yeah,
sons of
yeah.
bitches, we're spoiling
You
your asses.
sons of bitches. It's a busy year already, and we're like
The year
12 days
straight
into it.
chilling.
The year of the chill, where Blob is just a projector.
Where Blob picks the first movie that gets a 3.666 this year.
Boo.
Gracious. So yeah, hit us up, get involved. And until next week, as always, all of you mother truckers, please keep chilling.